Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Monomyth Diaries, a podcast where ordinary people get to share their hero's journey. I'm Mandy, and I'll be your host. We'll discover powerful insights, critical moments of growth, and much more. Thanks for joining us. We all have a monomyth to share, and someone out there needs to hear it. Welcome to the Monomyth Diaries, where it's a take what you like and leave the rest podcast. Today's featured hero is Rachel, an extraordinary woman whose story begins with hardship but unfolds into resilience, grace, and unexpected blessings. Rachel's journey reminds us that even the most painful beginnings can lead to something profoundly beautiful. Let's welcome Rachel to the show. Welcome to the Monomyth Diaries.
Thank you so much for having me here today. I'm super excited to share my story and to finally meet you in person.
I know, that's crazy.
Right.
Can you believe that? I feel super blessed that you are here today. I also feel super grateful for Stephanie, our mutual friend. She is amazing. For people just tuning in for the first time, Stephanie has been a guest on the show. She was the first guest of season 2, our opener. And Stephanie also has a podcast.
She does.
Beyond
Beauty with Stephanie. Yep.
Yes.
And I've been on a guest on her show. That's how this happened.
That's right. Weren't you actually the first guest?
No, I wasn't her first guest. She had a couple of guests, I think, before me.
Okay. I don't know why I thought you were the first guest. Maybe it's the first time I listened to it where I heard a guest.
Right, maybe so, yeah.
Yeah, I remember rolling along in my car, listening to your episode, and I thought, oh my gosh, I have got to call Stephanie and tell her, one, I need to meet this person because you just have such an incredible story, and two, I wanted to ask you to be on the Monomyth Diaries, so thanks for saying yes.
Yes, and thank you for inviting me. To me, this is such a blessing. It's so important that we get our stories out there. You know, that's what our testimonies are for, is to share with other people and hope that we can make a difference and an impact in their lives. So this is a really cool thing to be here to share that with you guys today. So thank you.
Yeah, and I think that we have become fast friends.
1000%. We're already in a group message, me, you, and Stephanie, like, oh my God, I love you. Good morning. Sending each other sweet messages. And I love that. Those are some really great, solid friendships. In the time as an adult, I've found myself with less friendships, and only because I've been a little bit more pickier, not judgmental, but who I allow in my life. There's just been a lot of strain in friendships and stuff, competitional and all this other things, you know, that I'm not really about. And when I find myself in friendships like that, I find that I start to drift away from that, you know, because I don't want to be in a friendship where I'm feeling like we're in competition. I want to be in a friendship where we are collaborating.
Yeah, lifting each other up.
We're loving each other. We're lifting each other up. We're seeing that we all bring different value to the table. We're all valuable women that have different personalities that can bring that to each other. Yeah. And that's what I love. It's been a long time since I've found friendships like that I have with you. You know, I feel like I've known you forever already.
I know, it's crazy. I feel like God puts certain people in your life for a reason.
And He does. We're always in a state of growth. Always. We're always in a state of growth. That's going to make me emotional just thinking about it or talking about it. But I'm like, give me that. I'm like, the older I get and realizing that you're in a constant state of growth and there's never an end until the day comes you're no longer here. I'm just constantly learning what my boundaries are, or what good friendship looks like to bad friendships, or what, and not good or bad people. I mean, you have to love all people, and I do have love for all people, but in the Bible, it says not to cast your pearls among swine, to guard your heart. And so those are things that I'm learning in the later age of my life to do that more now than ever, because I have been devastated by not having that protection for myself, you know? So I really appreciate good friendships like you guys. So love you, Stephanie.
All right. Thanks, Stephanie. And we talked about eventually the three of us are going to get on and do an episode together.
Yes. And she had, I sent her a message I think we were in the group text where she was like, well, that's going to be a panel, because there really will be. We're all three very different people, but have so much in common. So that would be a really cool podcast to do for sure.
Yes. Yeah. It would be. She's a little bit more quiet.
She is. Yes.
Soft-spoken. And I usually think I'm pretty loud and lively.
Me too. Yeah.
And I met you, and I'm like,
we might need to put her in the middle, like,
to temper us.
Yeah, to temper it, like, because I'm like that all the time. I get on my own nerves for sure. I really do.
Stephanie, I told my husband the other day, I'm like, I know not everybody, you know, thinks I'm their cup of tea or whatever. Like I can be loud and get on people's nerves.
It is. I was in a masterminds meeting just not too long, and I was going every Monday, and I had this gentleman tell me, you need to learn how to read a room and come in a room. And I love your personality, but you need to tone it down sometimes. And I'm like, okay, well, if I come into a room full of 100 people with all these, whose personality do I tone it down to? Yourself. I'm either going to like you or we're going to mush or we're not. The thing about me, you, and Stephanie is the raw honesty, the vulnerability that we are allowing ourselves to have to people, to be so open about our stories. It's scary, but we do it.
I have a lot of people in my life, but for some reason, the two of you, I know I can pick up the phone and absolutely cry.
Yeah.
And say, this is what's going on right now. You know, I called Stephanie the other day, just boo-hooing. I'm like, does he really forgive me?
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, I remember you telling me that. And yes, and God, he does. Thank God he does. That's why we have to be so open to it. I mean, in 51 years, I've needed a lot of forgiveness. And ultimately, we're supposed to be made in the image of Christ. We're never going to be just like him. But that's basically what our podcast today basically is about, is just the forgiveness. It is so powerful, so freeing.
Yeah, your episode today is really about forgiveness.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, we have sidebarred already.
Yeah.
I thought,
that's okay. We thought we would.
Maybe I should tell the audience that I'm going to work really hard to stay on
I
script.
think the audience likes it, though. This is natural. This is fun, right?
Okay, so here's another thing. For people who have been longtime followers, even into the second season, they will know by now that Karen has resigned. For a variety of reasons, she can no longer be with us. And you were so sweet, like right out of the gate. You're like, I'll do it.
I would love to come out here and do that. If we do it once a week or something like that, I'd love to do that.
Yeah, you have no idea what you're getting yourself into.
No,
but we will definitely talk about it.
I do.
Really
yes, we will.
So we always start every episode with the Monomyth story starters. Okay. And usually I tell people it's a way for you to get comfortable.
Right.
I don't think you have that problem.
Right.
So like me, you're like, yeah, I'm fine. But it also gives the audience an opportunity to get to know you. So I'm going to ask you 10 quick questions and you just answer. What is the most adventurous thing you've ever done?
Honestly, the most adventurous thing I've ever done was go snorkeling.
If you could switch lives with someone for a day, who would it be?
I really wouldn't switch lives with anyone. There's not a person in the world I would switch life with. I've never been somebody that looks up to other people so much, so I wish I could have their lives. Even on social media, you'll see people's lives, and even my life. It looks great on social media, but sometimes it's not so great, right? So I honestly, I would never switch lives with anybody. There's not a person I could tell you off the bat I would do that with, because I don't know where that life would have led me to. So the life that I live now with myself is beautiful, you know,
I love
and it just gets more beautiful by the day. So that's my truth. Yeah.
What is one superpower you wish you had?
I wish maybe sometimes I could actually make people believe.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Not just tell my story about my life and what I've done and hope that I've made an impact. The superpower would be that I know I've made an impact. Not just to hear our story, but to feel impacted by it. To not only let it resonate, but it makes them want to get up and move and do something different.
And see their friends later on.
I feel like I'm going to cry the entire time.
That's okay. You can't. It's usually me. If you could relive one moment of your life, what would it be?
My dad being here.
Oh. Yeah,
you know,
miss your dad.
My dad was the unlicensed heart doctor, so the moment of my life I would miss, if I could have it back, would be have him be here, because there's so many moments in life to where I was so dependent on him to call him to rearrange the heart and do all this heart stuff for me that I can't do it. So sometimes I feel lost because I have to do it all by myself. And when you've been so dependent on someone for this big thing in your life for so long, even though it's been like 10 years now or something like that,
you just want to pick up the phone and call him. If you could have any job for a day, what would it be?
It would be to probably be a public speaker.
Yeah. I could see that. We need to talk, because that's my dream. Yeah. I want to do that too.
Maybe we need to go on the road together, girl, because I think we could be a power team. Public speaking and making it the impact.
The impact. What's your dream vacation?
My dream vacation is to go to Paris, France.
Do you have a nickname? If so, what is it?
Rach.
Last question. What is your favorite way to unwind after a long day?
My favorite way to unwind after a long day, honestly, you're going to think this is really weird, is to lay in bed and watch like 48 Hours Investigates, murder mysteries. The reason why is because I'm very interested in the psychology of people's minds.
Okay. Feeling comfortable?
I am.
Well, we're going to jump into your story, your monomyth. Can you paint us a picture of what your childhood was like prior to your mom and dad divorcing?
I don't even remember them even being married or divorced. My mom kept us for a little while. My mom was a Banditos old lady. I don't know if you've ever heard of them before, but they are a biker gang. And she was very heavily invested in that life, which means we were around that life a lot.
Okay.
All through our life, up until about 10 years before she passed away. Those were her running buddies. These are the people we were subjected to. And they never hurt us or anything, but it was just a lot of bikers and drinking and drugs and things like that. So my mom kept us, I think, till I was about 4. My brother maybe was 3 and my sister was 2. And then my dad took over, and she was just living too much of a rough life. I remember holding my brother and sister's hand through apartment complexes on Ella Boulevard, knocking on doors looking for food. She wasn't present. She was there, but not present, you know? So my dad took over, and then we moved in with him and moved into the Heights area, where we lived a really poor life, but we didn't know any different. We loved it. Those years of living in the Heights, those are the funnest years of our life. The brokest we'd ever been, but the most fun.
So your mom is absent pretty much your entire life.
So we didn't really connect till I was an adult having children. And then now she stepped in, and she was a great Nana.
Okay.
We were able to forgive and move on, and she was a great Nana. But up until then, I'm related to Patrick Swayze, so he's my cousin, and she moved to California to pursue a modeling career and also to do some work with him in movies and things like that. So we didn't really get to her moving to California. We went a couple of years and didn't get to see her at all, you know. But when she was here, she'd be kind of coming in and out of our lives, and sometimes we'd see her, sometimes we wouldn't. And so she wasn't a very big piece of our life, to be honest. She wasn't intentional about anything. It was just whenever she could come, and we had a lot of fun when we were with her, you know. I remember her, when she would leave us, we would cry.
Oh,
we would all go to our rooms. We would balk. We had so much fun with her. I think that what it did for me, because I played house a lot. I always was the mom, you know, my babies and always treating my babies in my little school and my kids like I wanted to be treated. She made me want to be a really great mom. The same with my stepmom. She made me want to be a great mom. I love my stepmom to pieces. She's still in my life now. We have a great relationship now, but we didn't for most of my childhood. It was pretty awful, you know. I'd never had a stable mom figure that I looked up to. So that made me want to be better, and I did better.
It drove you to want to be a good mom.
Yeah, and I did. That. You talk to my kids. I was a single mom for a long time, and I did it all. And I wasn't perfect, but I don't look back on my motherhood and ever think for a minute I wasn't great. Everyone has their own what's 100% is to them, and your 100% changes in seasons. So sometimes the season of 100% looks different than the next season. I know that I was always giving my 100% of what I could give in those times in my life.
I just listened to a podcast actually today that said, you know, it's okay to say, I am the best mom for my kids.
Yes.
Not necessarily I'm the best mom.
Yeah, right. But before that, you were asking me what life was like before my situation happened. My dad met my stepmom, and we moved in, you know, we got a house together in Alief. That's where we lived. We grew up in Southwest Texas, in Alief, Texas. And we lived in a pretty suburban neighborhood. And we lived in a suburban neighborhood with roosters and ducks and pigs. My dad was a big kid. But that time in my life was honestly a nightmare. A literal nightmare. And there are going to be people listening to this that aren't going to like this, but this is my story, and this is the truth. It was a nightmare. Not that they don't know, not that the people in my life had already heard this. And I know they're going to love me anyway, because they do understand. But it was a nightmare. It was hurtful. It was painful. It was scary. You never knew what was going to happen from one day to the next. My parents were very volatile with their physicality towards one another. I had a grandfather move in that was my stepmom's dad at the time, and he molested me for my 12th birthday. You know, he bought me a little birthday cake and candles and had me sit on his lap and did whatever he wanted to do for a few minutes. It was the most uncomfortable thing ever. And when I went to tell my parents, of course, my dad handled it out in the front yard, and we never saw him again. But I had to live under the umbrella of my grandfather's wife was living there with us still, and so was my mom. I would hear stuff like, well, you know, he'd still be here if Rachel wouldn't have said this or that, or I just felt like the scolding constantly. It was very uncomfortable. There was a lot of criticism on that. You're just so emotional, and it just was not a good space for us. We, you know, CPS was called a few times. We also had a brother who had died of SIDS, but they brought him back to life. And by the time that they had brought him back to life, he lost so much oxygen to the brain that he was now considered cerebral palsy. Now we had a sick child in the home, and it was just a diversity of just a lot of sadness and hurt and pain and frustration and anger and all the things. And so I ended up moving out, just running away so much. My dad just finally said, I can't keep her at home. I've got this sick child to take care of, and which was the child that I would take care of too, because I loved changing his diapers and taking care of him and dressing him. And I very, 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 very sisterly with him. So it was hard leaving him. But yeah, so then with all the abuse, physical, the mental, the emotional, I couldn't take it anymore. And so I ended up moving in with my 18-year-old boyfriend, which is the father of the 3 kids that I have, 3 out of the 4 that I have.
And you were quite young. You were 15.
I was 15 and he was 18, yeah.
Yeah, before we talk about that, let's circle back.
Yeah.
I really want to talk about your dad. You described him once as being a functional alcoholic, but
he was a drug addict.
Oh,
yes.
Functional drug addict.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. But deeply faithful, which for me, as someone who grew up in active alcoholism,
Yeah.
which is an addiction.
Yeah.
I found that to be such an oxymoron.
Yes,
I get it
right.
now.
No,
I get
yeah.
it now after 20 years of, being in a program. I
Yeah.
get it now. But I think for a lot of listeners, they may not. That's an oxymoron.
Yeah.
Like, how can you be a drug addict and deeply religious at the same time?
So my dad was a drug addict till the day that he died, but he was a drug addict that was very accountable for his sin, and he spoke about it a lot. I remember him having a conversation with me in particular and was telling me about what was going on in his life. And this is basically what he said. He's like, I am an addict and this is what I'm addicted to. He was addicted to meth. And praise God for my stepmom, because she was not addicted to that. And so she kept him in line with a beautiful life. But he was telling me he was addicted to meth and that he needed us to know what his truth was about himself so we could learn and we could decide to love him for who he really was and not who he was pretending to be. Because he could have pretended to be that all day long. We probably would have known the difference. And he would cry and say, I hate this addiction. I hate that I'm this person, but this is my cross to bear. And I just want you to know this is what it is. And I want you to love me or not. You make that decision on if you want to do that or not. And I respected that. There's addictions of all kinds that aren't good for you. And I had to learn that too, that there's addictions to a lot of things and none of it's good. But I was never afraid of disappointing my dad. Never.
I love that.
Never. As a kid, I had the freedom to go to my dad and talk about anything. I wouldn't have to lie about it. I would just tell him, And not that I didn't.
How freeing.
And it was freeing for a little kid with all the things we were going through. That was one thing about him. I knew I could always go to talk to him about. He was never going to judge me. He was never going to be like, oh my God, how dare you do something like that? My dad was very honest. We would call him the unlicensed heart doctor, because he would ask you how your heart is doing. Like, Rach, how's your heart? And he was an addict. He was an addict. It didn't change the fact that he was still a good person.
Right. I love that he was teaching you at such a young age.
Yes.
I didn't learn until I was in my 30s how to detach with love. I could separate my dad from the disease of alcoholism.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do that. I was so mad at him for so long.
Yeah.
I remember listening to a speaker one time, and he was an alcoholic, and he said, I don't get up every day and look in the mirror and say, I'm going to get drunk today and beat my kids.
Yes.
He's like, I get up every day and say, I'm not going to drink today. And
Yeah.
he couldn't help it.
Oh, it was
right?
a struggle. It was a struggle. There's been struggle. Man, I was a vapor. I used to vape. Do you know how hard it was for me to stop vaping? And that's not even nearly as strong as that. But every day I'd get up and be like, okay, I'm not going to go buy a vape today. I'm not going to do it. And then I'm over here like itching, like just freaking out because I need a vape. I would lose it and I would go buy one. And I would do that over for years and years. I started smoking at 35 years old. So from 35 to the last few years, it was a struggle to put it down. Could you imagine?
No, I can't.
Drug or an alcohol abuse, an alcohol addiction? Could you imagine what that's like for them?
Suffer.
Yes, they do. And I'm not excusing their behaviors.
No.
I'm not excusing them. What I'm saying is you can still love them.
Yes.
You can still find beauty in them.
Yes.
They're not all bad. So my dad was very intentional about teaching us some very important things in life. Probably the most biggest story and the most impressionable thing he ever did in our lives that changed us forever. So we were really, really poor growing up. And it was the first time we ever got anything new for Christmas, ever. It was one thing we were getting new. Everything else was used, hand-me-downs. They'd wrap it up in wallpaper. I was probably 6 years old and we unwrapped our gifts. And then he had this one last gift to give us. And mine was this freaking brand new baby doll in the box. Never had a brand new doll before. My sister's was the same. My brother's was a Tonka trunk. We got the most brand new, only thing we'd ever had brand new ever. And so my dad would take it out of the box. We're going to play with it for a couple hours. He doesn't say a thing to us. He's just like, oh, how are you enjoying your brand new toys? We're like, oh my God, we love it. I'm feeding the doll. It's got the bottle in it that looks like it's drinking and stuff.
Oh,
I'm so impressed by this thing. And so is my sister. So my dad gets us a couple hours to really love this thing. And then he says, all right, guys, come on in here. I want you to come in here. I want to talk to y'all about something. And we're like, okay. He's like, all right, well, what is y'all's favorite toy you got for Christmas? And I was like, oh, mine's this doll. And my sister's like, my doll. And we're holding it like, oh my God, I love it. There's no way he's going to take this doll from us, right? No one's going to take it. And he's like, all right, well, we're going to take it to someone else that needs it more than you do. And we're just like, I'm 6. I'm over here like, what? And so he's like, yeah, we're going to take it over there and we're going to give it to someone else that's never had anything new and they need it more than you do. And we're just like, the whole way I remember it's me, I'm looking out the window. It's my sister in the middle and my brother on the other side. He's looking out the window. He's not as emotional as I am. And neither is my sister. They're just kind of like this. And I'm just crying the whole time. And my dad puts a rearview mirror down. He's like, Rach, how you feeling back there? And I'm like, I'm really sad. You're giving my doll away. Like, what's going on here? Like, why? You know, all the things I could ask at 6. And so he's like, you're going to feel much differently when we leave here. And he was very sure of that. He knew we would. And we did. We get there and it's like this old rundown trailer park. I mean, the roof was caved in on the trailer home that we were in, that the kids came out of. I remember all these kids come running out, and it seemed like a lot. There was probably only 3 because there was only 3 of us. But I just remember a flood of kids coming out with these parents, and my dad's like, "Come on over here! No, you come on over here! Come over here and get this!" This girl stands in front of me. She's like, and my dad's like, "Give her the doll," and I'm all like, handing her this doll, and her face lights up. Her face lights up and she is like so giddy and so joyful. My heart busted wide open and I felt so much joy. I felt so excited about that I made someone that excited. We talked about this not too long ago. It was, have I been doing things for people because I'm getting something out of it? Because I felt like I became addicted after that time to get people excited about things. I'm looking for things I could do. And I still do to make people happy and excited because there's some kind of fulfillment I get from that.
Serving.
So yes. So we get in the car and I'm getting the chills and we get in the car and I'm smiling. The way back home was different. I'm smiling. My dad looks in the rearview mirror again. He's like, "Rach, how are you feeling back there?" I said, "Daddy, I want to do that every single Christmas. I want to do that every single time, every Christmas." So every Christmas he would buy the one brand new thing and we would do that. So he taught us to not ever love things more than we love people, not to ever get ourselves so addicted to things that we aren't willing to give up to serve other people. When you talk about, I will give you a shirt off my back. The shirt that I have on now, we can't do it in public because we're on camera. But if we left here and you're like, "Girl, I love that shirt," I would have to give it to you because I don't love it that much. That was his point. If someone else loves something more than you do, give it to him.
He sounds like such an incredibly wise human. Everybody needs a Billy in his life.
They do. Let me tell you, he loved crystals. He would go to the Arkansas mountains and he would dig for crystals. Girl, everyone around the area of Woodlands knows my dad. He's Mr. Billy. He's crazy Billy. He had his dogs with him all the time. He'd go to Home Depot and he would always ask people, "Do you know the Lord?" He'd walk up to random people and ask them if they know the Lord. He'd carry crystals in his pockets and he'd give them this crystal and he'd start telling them about Christ. And he's like, "Now you do. So now you're responsible for your relationship with him." He'd get people like this all the time. So when he was in the hospital and he was dying, he was only there for about 3 days before he passed away. And I was leaving one day and I said, "Hey Dad, I'm going to go home for a little bit." And he's like, "Rach, I want you to go to the house real quick and come back and I want you to bring me some pocket crystals. I want to give it to the nurses and the doctors and say thank you for taking care of me." He knew he was dying, and I want to give this to him. I want to tell him about God and all this stuff. And so that's what I did. I came back. He would pass out these crystals. 5 years later, after he died, my sister went to the ER at that same hospital and one of the doctors were there that had still the crystal in her pocket. And she took a picture and sent it to me. And she's like, "I've never, ever forgotten your dad." Like I carried this crystal with me everywhere. So you see his addiction, although when you talk about meth addiction and all those things, it's terrible. There's no doubt about it. I think that the support of my stepmom also helped keep him in line and keep him accountable to and all those things. And he probably might have been a different person without her. I don't know. But with all the struggle that I had with her, I will tell you that she saved my dad's life and I love her very much. And we have a great relationship now. Thank God we're adults and we can forgive and do all those things. But yeah, he was a pretty remarkable person. Yeah,
he sounds like everybody needs
He was, and I miss it. They do. Everyone needs it. We need to make a t-shirt. Everyone needs a Billy in their life. They really do. My dad, I can't tell you, he was different.
Can we sidebar just for a minute? Your dad's addiction was different than a lot of people that I know. A lot of people will become an addict for reasons like stress or upbringing or whatever the case may be, but your dad's was a little different.
My dad's was different because he started his addiction in the military. So we did not know back in those times, the Vietnam time, they were giving their soldiers methamphetamines to stay awake and alert so that when the enemy came, they were ready to go. They couldn't just be laying there sleeping in a tree somewhere. They had to be, they're like, can you imagine?
Yeah, alert.
Like they had to keep, that's what they need to do is they would inject them with this stuff and they would stay high and awake and alert all day long. So that's where my dad started his addiction. And I'm sure back in those days, they didn't realize what an addiction it would be at this time. And so he just never broke that free from that addiction.
All right. Well, let's circle back to, you started talking about when you were 15, you moved out.
Yeah.
Let's go back to that. Go back to that.
So then I moved out. at 15. I remember my dad coming to the apartment with my boyfriend, and he was defeated. He had my brother at home who had cerebral palsy. My dad was the main caregiver at that time because they owned their own business, and my mom worked for Southwestern Bell at the time. So my dad was more at home with Matthew.
And probably feeling overwhelmed.
There's very overwhelmed. Yes, very, very overwhelmed. I remember him bringing this big trash bag to my boyfriend's house, knocking on the door, and I was standing behind my kid's dad, Sergio. And I remember my dad just looking at me and looking at him and said, "Please take care of my baby. Like, I can't, she's running away from home and she's sneaking out at night. I can't keep looking for her. I don't want her on the streets. If this is where she's going to be, then I got to leave her here. I've got a sick son at home I have to take care of." And he didn't want to, but I literally was running away all the time. As soon as you'd get me in, I was leaving again. As soon as you go to sleep at night, I'm making plans to leave. And that's just the way I was. I was always trying to escape. I didn't know what world I was escaping to. I thought it was going to be better. It was different, but not necessarily better.
Yeah, you were searching for safety.
Yeah, I was looking for safety, and it didn't turn out that I was very safe still. You know, I just wasn't with my mom and dad unsafe anymore. Now I'm with a new person unsafe.
We called it in a previous episode an external solution or geographical solution.
Yeah.
You're not realizing what you're
only
doing.
15, you know?
Yeah.
You think you know everything. My gosh. I wish I could just tell my dad now, like, Dad, you knew it all, because he did. He would sit and tell me all the answers, and I'd just take the long way around. So I moved in with him when I was 15. For us, it was just a lot of drinking and partying and having fun and just living the good life.
So you're living with your boyfriend.
Living with my boyfriend. And then while I'm living with him, very naively, he has an ex-girlfriend that's coming from McAllen, Texas, that needs a place to stay. So she busted down to Houston, and she's staying with us for a while. Her name was Shelly. I'm naive, and I'm thinking, they're friends now. This is my man. And, I'm just letting her stay there, and she's like sleeping in the living room. And so I would hang out at the pool a lot, talk to everybody. And I was cute in a bathing suit back then, so I get a lot of attention, right? I didn't really care because I was 15 and in love with someone else, but I would get a lot of attention. And I remember this man, this really tall black man. He always looked really old. I mean, to me, he looked way older, and he was, I'm sure. But, and he'd always wear this boa constrictor around his neck. So I knew who he was, mainly because he wore the boa constrictor, and he was very well known around the complex at that time. I didn't know he was a photographer. I didn't know anything about him. I just knew that, I know this guy, So my friend Shelly came into our apartment one time, and it was going to be my kid's dad's birthday coming up, and I need to make some money. So I'm like, I need to get him a birthday present. Like, I don't have any money. She's like, well, remember that guy that's always walking around the apartments with this snake? He's a photographer. He's seen you at the pool, and he thinks you would be great for his magazine. And I'm over here like, can I make money? Like, do I get to wear my clothes? Whatever. She's like, yeah, you can wear your bathing suit. Gonna go up there. He's legit. And he has mentioned you a million times. He said that, this girl, she would make it. She would rock the bathing suit world. Yeah. And you got Sports Illustrated out there. Yeah. I'm thinking,
girl doesn't like that?
Farrah Fawcett running down the beach. This is what I was thinking a lot of myself at that time. I'm like, oh yeah, seriously. I remember thinking of Farrah Fawcett with her braids, and I was like, that's gonna be me. I'm starstruck. We're from a family of star people, right. And I'm like, this is my moment. I'm gonna be a star too. This is what we do in our family, right? And that's all the things I'm thinking. So she made a time with him for me to come up there and meet him and take pictures, and then I can go home with, I was going to get paid $50 to do this. And $50 is a lot for me, and I could do a lot for $50 for him, my boyfriend, for his birthday. And I was like, yeah, let's do it, Got my bathing suit on, got my clothes on over my bathing suit. And I remember going up the stairs in front of her and feeling a little bit queasy, but not so much where I was like
nervous?
A little nervous, yeah, but not too much, because I've always been a pretty outgoing person, very fearless for the most part. So we get up there and I meet him. He's nice. He's got this big old tank with this big old snake in it. I remember seeing this tank and looking at like, that thing is huge. And I remember saying, that thing is huge. Like, golly, that's a big old snake. And I've seen you around the apartments. We're laughing and talking, and he's got a 2-bedroom apartment, and he shows me in one area where he's got all this going on. It's been a long time since I've seen this setup. So when I came in here earlier, I'm not going to lie, it reminded me just a second, a flashback of that time.
I'll have to drop it in the YouTube video so people can see what the background looks like.
Yeah. So he shows me the room. He's got a bunch of pull down backgrounds. He's legit. He really is a photographer, right? And then he's showing me albums of pictures he's taken of other people, and he's fully legit. Shelly's sitting there like, yeah, smiling with him and stuff like that. And I kind of felt a little like, when I wasn't looking at them, I felt something behind my back, but I wasn't sure what it was. And I can't tell you what it is or if it was really anything. It's just pure evil, probably. The presence of evil.
It's like your gut telling you, or the Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it.
As soon as that door locked, I immediately knew I was in danger. Like right then. He just locked it. He just went and locked it. That was it. It was and it looked high to me. I always thought that he maybe planted it up high, but it could have just been that I was short. It seemed like he just that he put that up there on purpose so that if anybody ever tried to get out, it would be hard to reach that lock to unlock it. The door locks. And I'm literally like, I'm in big trouble.
Yeah.
And I was.
You were.
I was in big trouble. So at first he tries to make me feel comfortable, and I take off my my clothes. I have my bathing suit on. He's taking pictures of me, and I'm not into this picture shoot now because I know he's not convincing me anymore that he's there just to get. I'm already knowing like he is buttering me up.
Something's coming.
Something's coming, and I'm taking these pictures. I'm all like,
uncomfortable.
It wasn't cute and sexy at all.
And so off the inevitable.
Huh?
It was putting off the inevitable.
It was knowing like I'm going to do this a couple more times and then I'm going to be dead. He's going to kill me. I just felt that that's what it was going to be. Ultimately, that was why was his door lock all high. I remember I kept looking at that lock thinking, how am I going to get up there to unlock this? Like I was looking all around the room, like how could I get out? What could I do? There was nothing I could do. He's got this white leather couch and he's like, go take your bathing suit off. Just like very like take your bathing suit off. And I'm like, I don't want to take my bathing suit off. She said I could take pictures with my bathing suit on. You're going to pay me $50, take pictures with my bathing suit on. I'm sorry.
No, you take your time.
I feel healed, but when I think about that little girl at that time, she was scared to death. Mm-hmm. I remember having to undress myself in front of this person that was evil. Like you had no business seeing me like this. Mm-hmm. That's how I felt. How dare you? So he's like, go lay on the couch. And I go and I'm bawling my eyes out at first. And for whatever reason, it just shut down. I laid on the couch. He picks up this boa constrictor. It's huge. And he lays it on my body. He just lays it there. And its mouth is here. I'll never forget like its little thing like in my, all I knew about a boa constrictor at that time is it wraps around you and it kills you. I don't know anything. I don't know how friendly or not friendly they are. I just know that there's no way I'm dying. This is it. I've done it. I've done the last vulnerable thing. He's taking pictures of me in fear. The whole time, I'm, and he's like, tell me to stop moving. And he's enjoying he's smiling, he's laughing. He's enjoying every minute of this thing, slivering my body, naked and scared to death.
Yeah.
So I remember at a point, I just shut down. I didn't feel anything. I resonated with the fact that this was just going to be it. And I was literally ready to die. I felt the most peace. I've never felt that kind of peace again since that day. There's something about when people tell you, when you hit that moment of feeling like you're dying, it really is peaceful. I didn't see a light or anything like that, but I felt just this like, oh, I remember closing my eyes and being like, I'm so ready. Like, this is going to be amazing. And then I remember him picking up the tail. And he picked up the tail and he said, you're either going to take the snake or you're going to take me. So he kind of woke me out of this trance that I was in. And I was like, no. I was so angry that he took also my right to die. I was ready. You're controlling everything about what I can feel today. I'm in fear. I'm scared. Now I'm at peace. Well, I choose you, of course. So most men, when you're trying to rape someone, can't perform. They start getting frustrated with themselves. So he lays me in this hallway and he starts to have sex with me. And I'm just laying there. I'm not making a noise. I'm just like dead weight. Well, he couldn't get himself going. So he's like, stand up, just stand up. And he takes me to the bathroom and makes me stand there in front of him while he sits on the toilet and plays with himself. And every time I would look down or I would put my hands here, he'd tell me to move my hands and he would tell me to look at him. Do you know, I looked at him and I thought, if I live, you're never going to control me again. I remember looking at him and I'm hoping that he sees me looking at him like, you just wait. My vindication was going to be, you're never going to control me again. That's it. If I live, that's what I'm going to do. I'm never going to let you control me again. And so he did all that. He finally had an orgasm. So I leave and all I have is my top on. I have my clothes in my hands and he throws $50 at me. I pick it up. I did pick up the money. I picked it up and I ran down the stairs and I ran into my apartment. And the first person I saw was my friend Dawn. Thank God that she is there and I love her so much. She feels the day that she didn't do enough for me, but she did. That's all she could do at that time because he told me I couldn't say anything. You know, he threatened me that if I said anything, all the things that would scare a teenage girl from not saying a word and also scare me into telling her, you better not say anything about this. And I had to tell her because she happened to be there when I walked in the door, ran to the door and I just fell into her arms. Naked, crying, and just telling her what happened. I'm like, you can't say anything. You can't say anything. You can't say anything about this. And she didn't.
Right, because you're terrified,
Yeah.
you're ashamed. I mean,
Yeah.
a million things going through a 15-year-old's brain.
Yeah. Well, I was 17 at that point.
Oh.
Yeah, so I was 17 when this happened to
Okay.
me. And so, but yeah, still the
17.
same thing. Yeah, 17, you don't know.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
No.
And so I'm not saying anything. Heck no. I'm gonna, and I popped it up. I lived on with my daily life, scared as hell, never saw that guy again. Oh, by the way, Shelly, the one I was telling you about, I figured out that I probably was being sex trafficked because when I came back to the house, she was gone. Our stuff was gone. She had moved out. Like within the time period that I was up there with this man, I can't even tell you today how long it was. It felt like forever. It could have been 10 minutes. I don't know. But she was gone. We still haven't seen her to this day. We don't know what happened to her. She just left. I feel like after talking with other people that he might have paid her to bring me to him.
Oh, that's
to
what you mean
commit
by sex trafficking.
Sex trafficked in that way, because that's sex trafficking no matter what. After talking to Tracy, she's like, that's sex trafficking. That's what that is. Someone is paying for someone else to bring you to do services for them, right?
Okay.
But it never. So yeah, so that's why I'm saying that's maybe what I'm thinking happened.
Too coincidental that Shelly's gone.
That Shelly's gone now. When she was my best friend at that time, and that she'd never mentioned leaving. She'd never mentioned she was moving out. And all of a sudden I'm up here with this crazy guy and that she's introduced me to, and now she's gone and never to be seen again. I never looked for her again. I thought about her in the years because I wanted to reach out and understand why she did that. But is it even worth it? Yeah, I've already moved on with my life, but I can't tell you that question has never crossed my mind. It's like, why would you do that? So I don't know what her intentions were. It was a terrible thing that turned out to be the best thing of my life, to be honest with you, the best first acknowledged thing of my life. So going back to that, I ended up getting pregnant. Everyone kept saying, even from my pastors to my friends and my family members, my parents, I need to have an abortion. I have to get an adoption. Either I have to get an abortion or I need to give her up for adoption. There's no way, don't get tied to this baby. There's no way you're going to be able to love or treat this child like your own. Even though I was active with my boyfriend, this situation did happen. The doctor explained to us that the pre-ejaculation is the most potent part of the whole orgasm. So talking with the kid's dad, he said, we're not having an abortion and we're not going to have an adoption. As the craziest man he was and still is today, he was the most supportive person. And I may not have been able to do that without him. If he, the boyfriend, was like, no, we're doing this, we can't have that. No, he knew my heart. He knew how much love I already felt for this child. And that I knew by telling him, I would tell him, I know I can do this. I don't care what it turns out to be. And she ends up being born, and she's obviously half black and half white, and, he signs her birth certificate and like, that's my daughter. No matter what, I'm going to love her. And we did, and she was my first encounter with blessings in disguise. My grandma would always say, oh, that's a blessing in disguise, dear. Things like that. I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't know what that means, but she was my first acknowledged, which I'm sure I'd had them before, but I'd not acknowledged them until this day, what that means, that there's hidden blessings in all life's messes. This was a terrible tragedy, a terrible thing that happened. But here I am holding this beautiful baby that has nothing to do with any of this. And I'm going to be the very best mom that I can be. And that's where I think my forgiveness came in for this man. It's feeling like I have to forgive you because I have to be open. I have to have this emptied out to be able to love this baby and give her all that she needs. And I'm forgiving you because it doesn't release you from your consequences. It releases me into my future. Forgiving people doesn't release them. Doesn't mean, oh, I forgive you. That means you don't have to suffer your consequences. It just means that you get to move on with your life now.
I love that. I think that's a perfect place for us to stop today's episode.
Yeah.
I want to thank you for opening up and sharing such a challenging piece of your life that I know is painful. In the next episode, we're going to get to talk about all those blessings and the messes, right?
Yes.
And I love it. You've got so much wisdom that we're going to talk about in the next episode. All of the journey of healing that you've gone through and all of the boons and the blessings and things
God
that are
is
going to
good,
come
girl.
from such a terrible
Yeah.
situation. I mean, you just have such a wonderful attitude and the way that you see things, and I know your story is going to resonate with a lot of people. So
I hope so, and I think so too. And thank you for allowing me to do that today. I really do appreciate you.
As we close Rachel's Monomyth, we're reminded that even in the midst of deep pain, beauty can emerge, forgiveness is possible, and our struggles can become blessings in disguise. In part 2 of Rachel's story, we'll explore the tools, strategies, and the gifts that have helped her heal and transform, reminding us that growth is possible on the other side of pain. You won't want to miss the next chapter of her Monomyth. Thanks for joining us on the Monomyth Diaries. If this episode resonates with you or someone you know, We'd love for you to share it and spread the inspiration. Don't forget to follow us wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube to stay connected. We'd appreciate if you could take a moment and rate and review the podcast. It helps us reach more people with stories of transformation and growth. You can visit us at monomythdiaries.com or text us directly from the show notes to reach out and keep the conversations going. Until next time, heroes, let's journey together through our monomyths.